Today we're doing some Polyend Synth finger drumming, but before we get into that, today's patron shoutout goes to Colin McRae. Thank you so very much for the support. Also, do not miss your chance to have your music featured on my channel. My upcoming free live stream concert, Freebeat Live 2025, is coming soon. To find out how to have your music featured in the show, just click the link in the description. All right, now let's get started. So with the new DWA engine in the Polyend Synth, we now have the ability to load our own samples into this awesome little synthesizer. And you can do some pretty complex stuff with it. Lots of other people have covered that. But you can also just simply load in samples and, play them back. Each instance of the DWA synth lets you have two different samples in there, and then you actually get control over the mix of them as well. So what I've done here is I've got three different synths, and they're all set to the DWA engine. And then what I've done is loaded, for instance, on my first synth here, I've got a kick drum sample as sample number 1. Sample number 2 is just the default like bass mids. But if I go to the third page of the engine here, then you can see that I've actually got the mix set far to the left, which is just sample 1. I also did turn up the gain a bit, but if we press these pads here on synth 1, you'll hear it's just our kick drum. Then for synth 2, I did the same thing, but, sample 1, I put the bass mids. I accidentally put the snare on sample number 2, the snare sample anyway. So in the engine, I've actually set the mix far to the right, which is, so we're only hearing sample number 2, which is our snare drum. And for synth number 3, I have gone in and made sample number 1 a hi-hat, and then set the mix all the way to the left, so we're only hearing sample 1, which is this hi-hat sample. Then on the hi-hat sample, I actually went into the envelope and set the sustain to high, and the decay and the release to very low. So if we just tap the pad, we get a closed hi-hat, and if we hold it down, we get an open hi-hat. And this is going to enable us to simply use the Polyend Synth to finger drum. It can be a little confusing getting the pads, remembering that kick, snare, hi-hat, and that is how I set it up. You can go into grid though, and you can actually change the layout of all these pads. I found that the 3x3, which is the one I had it on, worked best for me, but there are quite a few different grids here that you can choose from. So pick the one that works best for you and your finger drumming style. You can also then go into your effects and choose those and the send levels for those as well. So we could really, crank the reverb down here for all three of our synths if we wanted. There's quite a few cool sounds you can get out of here. And these drum samples I used are just very basic samples that I ripped right out of, I think, a song off the Polyend Tracker or something from my live set. I can't exactly remember. I just found a folder with some generic drum samples on my computer and put them right into the Polyend Synth, which was also achieved, by the way, by just going to System Settings and using USB storage mode. That's actually how I'm still connected to the computer right now for power, just via Type-C. So that was super, super easy. But yeah, this is actually a really fun little setup. Gonna bring some of those reverbs down. That's ridiculous. Let's turn up, I don't know, I've got a chorus set here in the modulation section, as you can hear. And let's crank the delay. Barely scratching the surface here of what could be done. Also remember, we can layer other sounds into the synth engine. So you could do some other percussion, you could do like some loops, and you could really have a full kind of ambient-esque drum setup, especially with you heard how good that reverb sounded with everything maxed out. And I haven't even really gotten into the modulation section, messing with the LFOs or anything like that. There's a lot here. You could go into the sequencer or the arpeggiator. Let's do this for the hi-hat actually. Let's turn on the arp here. That's groovy. And I do actually have the arp set to the snare as well, so let's go ahead and mess with that really quick. There we go. You get the idea. There's a lot of fun that you can explore here just with 3 drum samples. We've barely scratched the surface, but this is already so much to work with. Don't forget, we haven't done anything with like macros or anything like that. You can dive really deep here if you want to and still keep this pretty accessible for super basic finger drumming. Yeah, awesome. Super fun stuff. So there you have it. Some Polyend Synth finger drumming. Just a few ideas of how you can use this thing beyond just being a synthesizer. You can get some drum stuff going on. Who knows? Maybe next time we bust out the synth, we'll dive into the sequencer and see if we can't get some cool sequenced drum patterns going with just 3 drum samples. This thing continues to be a ton of fun. It is absolutely the most fun synthesizer that I own. I love playing it. Also keep in mind, you could just do like kick and snare and set this engine over here to a synth and play that too. So there's a lot you can do here. Yeah, this thing's just a ton of fun. I love it. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.